all met someone who's supremely confident in their abilities, but they're not nearly as good as they think they are. Or maybe, just maybe, you've been that person yourself. This overconfidence in one's abilities isn't just a quirk of personality, it could be explained by something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias that explains why people with low ability in a particular area often overestimate their competence. It was first described in 1999 by psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger. In simple terms, people who are less skilled in something don't know enough about it to recognize their own limitations. So, how does the Dunning-Kruger effect actually work? People who are incompetent in a certain area often lack the skills to recognize just how unskilled they really are. In other words, they're too inexperienced to accurately assess their own abilities. It's like trying to speak a foreign language without knowing the basics. You might think you sound fluent, but anyone who actually speaks the language knows you're making a lot of mistakes. You've probably seen the Dunning-Kruger effect in action, maybe more often than you think. Consider that coworker who insists they're the top performer, but they're actually struggling. Or how about those overconfident contestants on talent shows who think they're going to be the next big star, but can't really hold a note? One famous example of the Dunning-Kruger effect is from shows like American Idol. Some contestants are so convinced they're about to become a superstar, but their actual talent, well, it doesn't quite match up to their confidence. So, why does the Dunning-Kruger effect happen in the first place? Well, there are a couple of key reasons. First, people who lack skill in an area often also lack the metacognitive ability to assess their own performance. Basically, they don't have the knowledge or tools to realize just how many mistakes they're making. Think about trying to write a computer program without any experience. You might be proud of the code you wrote, but without the skill to recognize errors, you don't realize how flawed it actually is. Second, we tend to compare ourselves to others who are just as inexperienced. If everyone around you is at the same low skill level, it can create a false sense of competence. Interestingly, the Dunning-Kruger effect has a counterpart called imposter syndrome. This is when highly skilled individuals underestimate their own abilities and think they're not as good as they really are. It's common among high achievers. People who are actually experts in their field often assume they're not as competent as everyone else. The good news is we can avoid falling into the Dunning-Kruger trap. It starts with one important thing: humility. Being aware that you don't know everything is a key first step. Constantly learning, seeking feedback, and being open to criticism helps you get a more realistic sense of your abilities. Real self-awareness comes from admitting what you don't know. Think about the last time you learned a new skill. And that's the first step toward mastery. The Dunning-Kruger effect reminds us that confidence and competence don't always go hand in hand. Recognizing this can help us stay humble, keep learning, and avoid the pitfalls of overconfidence. In the end, true mastery comes from knowing how much there is still to learn. Have you ever been humbled by a learning experience? Maybe you thought you were great at something, but then realized there was a lot more to it than you thought. We'd love to hear from you. Share your story in the comments below, and let us know about your unique experiences. If you found this video interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Thought Waves for more insights into the human mind and behavior.